Welcome to Monday's Market Outlook here at Top Gun Options. Matthew Buckley, my call sign is Wiz. An incredibly busy weekend. We're going to get into it from Brazil to North Korea to over in Saudi Arabia and currently in Israel with the president. We have a lot to cover, a lot going to be going on this week as well. Before we get started, though, we're going to be kicking off our Options Weapons School tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. So if you've been ever interested in see what we do here at Top Gun Options and Options Weapons School, unlike Full Throttle, is the training program that I teach. So you can head to go.topgunoptions.com/OWS-webinar-reg for registration. That's a little long to put there. I'll tell you what, I'll put that on our Top Gun Options Facebook page, facebook.com/topgunoptions, and I'll also put it on my Twitter feed, and you can follow me on Twitter at WizCheck6. So you can either go to the opt-in page, the Facebook page, or at WizCheck6 on Twitter, and you can register there. Or if you want to, you can type go.topgunoptions.com/OWS-webinar-reg. And we're going to have 4 live trading events this week. It's going to be an incredibly busy week, but I'm more importantly looking forward to Friday especially. All right, let's go. Big week last week down in Brazil. Market imploded with the president on tape, more or less doing what presidents on Brazil on tape usually do. Big political crisis. As a personal friend of mine, or a guy I know very well, Wesley Batista, who runs JBS, and his family, talking to prosecutors, letting them know what happened down there. It's bad, but folks, they just kicked out Dilma last year, and now this is going on. So again, shocked to know that there's corruption in the Brazilian government. That's why we took a look at the urgent alert on Thursday and getting long the EWZ, that's the Brazil ETF. These things always implode, and then Brazil always comes back. Great country, great people, great food. It's a commodity story. It's an oil story. It's going to recover here. So I'm bottom feeding on the EWZ, but big drama down in Brazil and Sao Paulo. All right, folks. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? Incredibly busy weekend. Obviously, we had North Korea light off another bottle rocket, short in distance, but long on data. Folks, this was the first time they actually did a reentry with one of their vehicles, which means folks in Seattle, San Diego, Oregon, and especially Hawaii need to learn to duck and cover. This is getting serious, ladies and gentlemen. This is the fault of Bill Clinton. This is the fault of George Bush. This is the fault of Barack Obama, and Donald Trump better stop it. We already have another carrier battle group on the way there. In addition to the Carl Vinson, we have the Ronald Reagan, and wouldn't that be fitting to have the Reagan in the area? We got to shut this stuff down, folks. Iran is watching. North Korea and Iran share all their missile technologies. Iran's been very, very quiet lately, especially with Trump over there across the lake poking them. You would think they'd be screaming death to America and all this stuff. They're being very quiet because whatever happens with North Korea is most likely going to happen to them. So if he's allowed to keep his nukes, you're going to have a nuclear-armed Iran. And you want to talk about volatility? These guys will actually use it, and they'll use it against Israel. But we have North Korea going on. We have Trump overseas. Looks like a great kickoff, folks. Great speech and stuff over in Saudi. The historic arms deal with the Saudis, and we really are putting the Iranians on notice that in the battle of left and right side of the Persian Gulf, we're going with the left side there, and obviously Russia and those proxies are going with the right. A lot of domestic things going on, which we'll cover, but it's how about those idiots at Notre Dame getting up and walking out of their commencement speech? You're graduating from Notre Dame, for Christ's sake. Sit there and respect the office, even if what do you got against Mike Pence, for God's sakes? But Notre Dame, I'm a Catholic, I'm an Irish Catholic. I was livid to see like a Nancy Pelosi, a Joe Biden, or a John Kerry speak at that school. All pro-abortion, all closet Catholics, but those people are celebrated, and then you turn your back on a guy like Mike Pence, whatever. Rant complete. But Trump looks like he's doing pretty good. Obviously, he hasn't really run away from all the scandals here back in the United States. We're going to have Comey testifying this week. That's going to be very interesting. Nobody's even seen this memo. The Washington Post reporter that quote, broke the story said, "I never saw it myself. I'm just taking the word of an anonymous source." This is what passes for journalism nowadays, folks, and it makes me sick. But I couldn't agree more here. Deutsche Bank over the weekend sent out a note that said, markets face a brutal margin call if Trump loses or loses any more credibility. We've talked about this, folks. This rally is the hope and change rally. This rally was built on the hope that Donald Trump can get his legislative agenda passed. There's a major implosion with the first Obamacare repeal fiasco. Say that 10 times fast. And here's the other rip your face off implosion based on the Comey memo, which might be written in crayon, and he might be writing it right now before he testifies this week. So we know this, folks. We know these risks. We had a bullish double vertical on VXX that was losing money up until last week. I remember Tuesday people were like, hey, Wiz, you going to close that? I'm like, of course not. It's a volatility trade. Anything can happen. The VIX can go up 20, 30% in a couple minutes. And again, my call sign's Wiz, not Nostradamus. That's exactly what happened a couple days later. So I couldn't agree more with Deutsche Bank. We're in for a massive move to the downside if the market really wakes up and sees that Trump is in trouble. But with the appointment of the special prosecutor last week, I think we should be good to go. The Democrats have to quiet down for a little bit. I really think they're overplaying their hand. When I'm agreeing with Nancy Pelosi, cats and dogs are going to be living together, mass hysteria here, because she actually said, hey, let's wait until we get some facts out. These calls for impeachment are premature, blah, 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 blah. Even though it sounds like she was being stateswoman-like, she was playing politics. The number one rule of politics in Washington, folks, is when your enemy is destroying himself, get out of the way. If you're seen as pounding on like some of these idiot Democrats last week, it's going to look bad for you. So Nancy was actually doing great politics last week. And again, folks, Comey, a month ago or whenever it was last time he testified under oath, nobody's pressured me to do anything. Now he's either committed perjury and he's a felon, or he committed perjury, committed a felony when the president tried to influence him and obstruct justice. As the head FBI guy, he should have busted out cuffs and locked the president up right there. So Comey's in a very difficult spot, and I think this week we might have a relief rally based on him making an ass of himself in front of Congress. So a lot of good stuff going on. Out of the blue, the Ford CEO was clipped. Jim Hackett is the new skipper. He just did a press conference, saw that on Fox Business. And I'm not a big auto guy. Some people swear by it. It's a canary in the coal mine, a barometer for the market. I don't see it. I'm not that guy. Nothing really huge, that big on the flight schedule this week. Some new home sales, Richmond Fed. Some Fed lieutenants are speaking throughout the week. Mario is going to speak overseas on Wednesday. Existing home sales, obviously crude oil inventory reports. The only big thing is really FOMC minutes on Wednesday afternoon. But I got to be honest with you, the biggest thing everybody will be focused on really is the Comey talk. But the Fed minutes, the written word sometimes is different than the spoken word. So we'll read it, see if there's anything in there. Preliminary GDP. Remember, folks, GDP comes out in three parts: advanced, preliminary, and final. We saw the advanced one a couple weeks ago. It was a national embarrassment, 0.7. There wasn't even a number in front of the decimal point unless you count zero as a number, which it is. So we'll get a preliminary to see if that's revised in any direction. That could be bullish if it's revised up, and we'll get some revised numbers there, and also durable goods. But here we go, folks, and I got to get going because I have 1 o'clock live trade brief, weekly options here. Here's the rip your face implosion. We got a solid bounce back to about half the rip your face off implosion in the weekly options live trade brief. I'm actually going to look to sell into this because I don't think that is a massive snapback. After the last implosion here, we kind of fumbled around before we got airborne. This is, I think part of this is a short squeeze. I think when we imploded on the Comey and everybody said that's it, Trump's done, impeachment, and it didn't happen, a lot of people got stuck short. So we're running out of airspeed here, and I'd look to be selling a weekly bear call spread, and that's what we're going to do at 1 o'clock here. Or if I don't do it now, I'm actually probably going to do it now and send out a text alert, okay? So last call, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Options Weapon School kicks off. go.topgunoptions.com/OWS-webinar-reg for registration, okay? Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge, and I'll see many of you tomorrow at 10 a.m., and I'll see my members here in about 2 hours in the weekly options live trade brief. We'll see you. God bless.